All right. So do you want to just start with like the sheet that you made so we can go through it that way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking about priorities, right?
Yeah, that's the first one, right?
Yeah, I feel like I just what I was like kind of talking about before. I feel like I just wanted to start off with like mindset because I feel like your mindset helps you create the priorities. Like I feel like if you have to it's like with anything, like you have to want to change, want to make a change and want to see a difference, and like if you don't do anything, like if you don't do anything different, nothing's going to change. I know that sounds silly, but it's really like the bottom line. And if you really want something that bad, then you will change your mindset and you will, you know, work on thinking different ways. Like not like I can't do this, oh, it's too hard, but like how can I make it happen? Like and working on your mindset like in a positive way. There's a really big connection with how you think, like what you talk to yourself about. Like sometimes I feel like would you talk to your if you were to talk about yourself to someone, they would probably be like, "Oh my god, if they heard the voices in your head." So I feel like changing your mindset to think about first how to achieve your goals is like the most important. And then like when you're creating goals, I just feel like they have to be specific and they have to be like, measurable. So if I was to create a goal for myself, like when I first started working out in the morning, just for example, I only told myself I was going to go just in the morning at 5 a.m. I was going to start 2 days a week because realistically for me, I could get up and do 2 days a week. Now I do like 4 or 5, but I feel like in the beginning, if I told myself I was going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for 5 days a week, it wasn't happening. So I started with two and I made like specific like goals, and then I made them attainable. Like I knew I could do two, but if I set myself up for failure, I knew I wasn't going to do it. And then I would just be more upset. My mindset would have, kind of turned around, and then I probably would have never been able to achieve like what I wanted to achieve. So I feel like you have to like start small. And honestly, like what's the most important thing to you? Like what are you trying to do? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to look better? Do you want to feel better? Do you want your gut to heal? Do you want like what are those things that you really want? And if like maybe make a list and write them down and look at them and know like these are the things I want to do.
Right. So the question was, right, that we got, how do you make time for these things, right? Like, how do you make time for the gym? How do you make time for meal prep? How do you mix it into your priorities? And the things that Steph was going over, right, is the SMART acronym. Specific goals, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time. So first off, how you make time is very simple. Again, if it's a priority of yours or not. Like there's nothing that me and Coach Steph can do for you to make it a goal of yours or not. And I am very like, as much as I'm going to guide you and help you and cheer you on day in and day out, this has to be your desire. And I get that. I've had coaches now for years and years, and I was that client that didn't give all. Okay. I have bailed on coaches before. Like, again, I've been in everyone's shoes. Like, I signed up for a coach. I was committed for like 3 weeks. And then I was like, this is a lot more than I planned on. I'm out. And I ghosted. Right. And like, I've been there. And at that time in my life, it wasn't a priority for me. Now, 4 years later or 5 years later, I probably won't ever not have a coach. I probably won't ever stop tracking because it's what makes me the best version of me. And I understand that it is totally overwhelming at first. It is, it's a lot. But like, so is learning any skill and any new hobby. If I sat down tomorrow and I was like, I'm going to master the piano in 5 days, am I going to be playing Mozart? No. And that's what this is. I know it's not a skill that you would put on a resume, but it is a skill. It's educating yourself. It's taking the time to do something. It's investing in yourself. It's showing up day in and day out when stuff is hard and you're not doing great. And your coach is like, that practice sucked. And you're like, all right, but I'm still going to come back tomorrow. So, unfortunately, as much as I want to say that I can help you with the priority thing, we can't, right? Like, that is completely on you guys. If this is a time where you're going to dedicate yourself to it, and it's not going to be a quick fix, and it's not going to be automatic like glory and, oh my God, the scale's down 10 pounds. Here I go. Right. Like it's going to be a grind. It's going to suck. You might even gain weight before you lose weight. But guess what? You won't be restarting next January. You won't be restarting next May, right? It's going to be something that you take with you forever. And I think the best thing about this whole entire process from when I started to now is like my character and my identity has like changed, right? Like I view life a little bit different. Um, Things that I would have been like maybe been like stressed about or flipped out about in the past, they're kind of no big deal now. Like I take things with a grain of salt. I love to learn about it because it's never ending. Um, I appreciate other females and males on this journey so much more. And I just realized that this is something that I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. And that's okay to me. Like I'm fine with putting my health as a forever checklist. Like there's not going to be a time where I'm like, okay, good. I hit that goal. I hit that weight. I'm done. Because guess what's going to happen then, right? You're going to, it's all going to come back. So this is something that I chalk up to like brushing my teeth. It's going to happen to the day I die, like brushing my hair, my hygiene, paying my bills, paying my mortgage. I surely wish I didn't have to do that anymore. But you know what? I do. And it's going to be something that I do forever. I'm going to take pride in it. I'm going to make sure it's at the top of my priority list because, and I know this might be morbid, but no one here, including myself, can do anything for anybody if you are not here physically, right? So you say you're pulled so thin with your work, your family, your kids, other expectations. Guess what? If your health is not here and you're in a hospital somewhere, you're not doing anything for anyone. So as I know it's hard, especially as females, to put ourselves before others, but you absolutely cannot do things for other people if you physically are not here. So your health and your well-being has to be first. It has to be because you can't help anyone if you're not okay. So I think that's what we have to really embody and make ourselves the priority. And again, it's not selfish. It's not like tooting your own horn. It's not putting you above people. You're the only way you can be the best to others if you're okay yourself. So that's what I like to say, like to think about when I think about like, do I have time to go to the gym today? Well, you know what? I need to make time because it makes me a better person to help other people. Um,
There's also a quote that's like, if you don't make time for health, then you have to make time for sickness. Like you'll have to find time for sickness because if you get sick or you can't do anything about it, now you're going to have to go to the doctor, or even if it's worse and you're going to have to be in the hospital. Like, so you say you don't have time to work out, but then if you get sick, you're down for the count anyway. And if it's really bad, then it's a long time.
that's a really good quote. I like that quote. It's true though. Like I put up today, like so many Americans are on medications and pills and going to doctors. If you probably add up all the time you spend going to doctors and pharmacies and stuff, you probably could have been to the gym twice a day. So we just have to think of that. And again, like I'm big on this, Coach Steph is big on this. Organization is huge. Like I can't imagine winging it every day. If I woke up at 5:30 every day and I was like, okay, when can I go to the gym today? What am I going to eat for breakfast? What am I going to eat for lunch? What am I going to cook for dinner? I would be spiraling, right? Like having all those questions on your plate every morning has to be exhausting. You have to plan ahead. You have to look ahead. Most of us do live in a routine. Like even if it like some routines are, more structured than others. Um, but pretty much all of us are in a point where our Mondays through Fridays are somewhat, or if, we're nurses, we have an idea of what we do. You have to structure as much as you can, or else that has to be insanely hard and complicated. Um, Planning ahead is huge. Like, and like Coach Steph said last week, she knows that, yeah, she could probably go to the gym after school every once in a while, but she also knows that if her son's not feeling well at daycare, she has to pick him up right away. If her husband has to coach or a meeting after school, she has to pick her son up, or things can come up. So her safety time is 5 a.m.
Yeah.
She knows that no one's going to interrupt that, and you have to kind of figure that out.
And at first you're like, oh God, 5. But then you're like, your body just gets, you get used to it. And like, I enjoy going, and I actually feel like I feel better when I get to school in the morning too, because I've been awake, even though the kids are always like, they come in like, I'm so tired. And I want to be like, tired. You don't even know what tired is.
We're so old.
I know. But like, they're like, I feel better going throughout my day doing that in the morning, because I don't know, it just gets me like, I'm awake, and it makes me up. And then it's nice because then if something comes up at the end of the day too, if someone texts me and I want to do something, I'm able to do it. I don't feel like I really want to go, but I know I have to go to the gym, or I know I have to do this because I already planned out what I'm doing.
Right. You don't want to miss life events either, right? So by getting it out of the way, um, but again, like if you like going to the gym at night, then again, good for you. You just have to find that sweet spot. And also, if this is like even like week 3, if this is week 8 for you and you still haven't found that groove, you're not like the odd man out. That's not weird. Like I'm on year 8 of this, year 8, right? And there are still days that I don't hit my macros. There are still days where like things come up. Like this is not something that happens overnight. This is not you know, a diet where you're like, okay, I'm cutting out all carbs tomorrow. Like that's just not how this works, because it's something that you can do forever. And it's something that your life can go through. Like almost every one of you has been on a vacation or, had something come up where I get a check-in from you and you're like, oh, like plans went askew, but I was fine and came back the next day. Or wow, vacation happened and actually when I came back, I was okay. Like think about if you did a diet where like you can't have sugar, you can't have carbs. You go on a vacation, that diet's out the window, right? Like can't happen. So this is not something that you're going to master in 3 weeks or even like 2 months. You have to give yourself grace. And I understand that some of you are on a journey where you're like, I don't have time for grace. Like I have a lot of weight to lose. I'm on the borderline of sick and unhealthy. But you have to remember you didn't gain that weight in 2 weeks.
Hey,
You
bud.
didn't gain that weight in 2 months. So
Hey, how
you're
are
not going
you?
to lose
Oh,
it.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. You're not going to lose it in 2 weeks. You're not going to lose it in 2 months. You have to stay committed. And I think all of you know that if you did something else, if you got on a bandwagon of one of those fad diets, yeah, you might see some more instant gratification. And again, I think again, you all know this, it would be back. They are impossible to sustain. So do not beat yourself down. Do not get so hard on yourself that you are not perfect.
Get out.
I am 8 years in and I didn't hit my macros today. And again, I know I'm at a different spot and we can't necessarily compare, but this is a totally new hobby, a totally new skill. The fact that you're just showing up for yourself is major, but you do have to make it a priority. And unfortunately, I do think a lot of us are used to excuses, right? Like, I don't have time. I'm going to call you out on that and call bullshit. Like, I have women in this group that have 5 kids and work a full-time job. Like, they figure it out. I mean, I have 2 kids, I don't have a ton. I work 2 full-time jobs and I'm in grad school. I figure it out. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but enough with the I don't have time. Enough with the excuses don't resonate with me. I don't think they resonate with Coach Steph. I sympathize in the fact that I understand that this might be new for you and hard, but the time that this is hard, I don't get it, this doesn't work for me is bull, because this literally works for every single human. It is literally just counting your calories and the food that goes in your body. You are not the one person in the world it doesn't work for. So we have to be a little bit more accountable for our actions and our excuses that come out of our mouth, right? If you really want this to happen, you have to make it happen yourself. We can only give you so much.
I think it's more intrinsically motivated thing. Like, you can't, we can't make it like jump inside your body and make you want to do it. It's the same. Like I always tell my team that I coach, like I can't go on the court and play for you. like you have to want to do it. Like I could give you the tools and then you have to do it. And
Right. And
that's
I get that some of us have more barriers than others, whether those be health or whatever, but you're not the person in this world that has the hardest life. You're not. There are people out there with way harder circumstances than you. And you have to, put your big girl panties on and get it done. And even if that's like one little step at a time, like literally one step at a time, right? If you don't have the ability to commit a cannonball, right? If you don't have the ability to commit 100% right now, that's fine. But then you have to mentally be all right. Like, okay, I obviously can't give all. So then my progress is not going to be as fast. I can do, I can do 80 ounces of water today. I can do 3,000 steps and I can plan my breakfast. If that's all you can commit to, that is fine. Get that done. That's your 100%. But realize that your results are not going to be the same as someone who goes to the gym 5 times a week, hits all their macros, and drinks 120 ounces of water, right? You can't compare yourself to them. You're going a little slower. You're going at something that's more attainable for you. Then 2 weeks from now, you plan your breakfast and lunch. You hit 5,000 steps. You drink 100 ounces of water, right? Like those steps are all fine, but you can't compare yourself to someone who's, able to jump all in and then use the excuse, this doesn't work for me, right? Like we're all at different points. But at some point you have to look in the mirror and say, like, am I doing what I need to do? So
I also think CJ, who's the you might the teacher that was, I think it was at Sachem. No, maybe not Sachem, but he passed away, but he
oh,
had a whole,
Desi.
yes, Desi. Thank you. I couldn't think, was it Sachem?
Yeah.
And his whole like motto was like we get to. So it's like instead of saying up, like instead of the next day saying like I have to get up in the morning, it's like we get to get up in the morning, we get to go to the gym, we get to work out, we get to see our kids and our family and go to work, we get to do all those things because somebody that you know isn't well, or someone that isn't like all those things, when they're taken away from you, you just want them back again. You don't realize, like, even when you're sick in bed for like the flu, you're like, I just wish I feel normal. But like imagine if it was something a little more serious. And the quote that I was looking at before was, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And it's like changing your mindset to be like, I get to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like I get to do those things, and I get to like get up, go to work, go to the gym, come home, make dinner. Like I get to do those things. I think it's a huge mindset like shift.
And I also think it's a big kudos to everyone on this Zoom. And I know people can't get here because of work and they're going to watch it. So I'm not like downgrading them, but you guys are educating yourselves. You're here, you're showing up to learn, right? You're not just like, what are my macros? What's my workout? See you later, right? Like you want to learn. And I always think it's so funny that like the new clients will like text me a question and be like, sorry to bother you. Like, I'm never going to take, when you guys ask me questions, I never take it as like a challenge to me. Like, I never think about like, oh God, like Jess will use like, Jess is such a bitch. Like she's asking me like why I'm doing this stuff, right? Like, no, Jess wants to learn. Jess wants to make herself better. Jess wants to like actually understand why she's doing this stuff. So one day when Jess doesn't need me, just kidding. She'll understand and she could help other people. Like, so please educate yourself. Like ask me questions. Like some of you text me all the time and I get like that you might, and I believe me, if I really had plans going on, which I don't, I I would write back to you in an hour, right? If I'm in the middle of some crazy trivia night, I'm not going to answer you. But I love when people ask me questions because that shows me that you actually care about what you're doing. You're not just being little zombies. You're not just like being like macros this. What is this? You're learning how to adapt. Because as much as I want you guys to be my clients for the rest of my life, please, I would like love it. I don't, because I do want you to learn and I want you to be able to go out on your own, or I want you to switch to like, where we just talk once a week just to keep you accountable, like I do with my coach, right? Like I will have a coach forever because I just like the accountability. But we talk once a week and I use him for education and that's about it. But please ask questions, invest in yourself, come to these Zooms, like listen to podcasts, invest in your health, because literally nothing else is more important. It is your actual life. Like nothing else can be more important than your actual life, right? Like your physical place on this earth. So I know this priorities question went like all over the
Yeah.
place, but it's an important one, right? Like I think again, especially, and I don't know if Evan's on this call right now, so especially as females, we are just naturally drawn to like putting others before ourselves, doing the most we can for others. And at the end of the day, we can't do that if we are not healthy and we are not okay, mentally and physically. And mentally has a lot to do with how we treat ourselves physically. So I know it's a hard thing to do, but you have to put your well-being before others. And again, all of us could probably manage both. Like, or the more I do this, the more I'm like a girl power fan. Like, there's so much that we can do. But you have to give yourself as much love as you would the people in your life. All right. The next question, right, was a little bit more about workout programs, so not as deep, right? The ideal workout program. So a lot of you are probably going to hate this. But the ideal, after like, a bunch of studies and stuff, is 12 weeks long of the same movements 4 to 5 times a week. Now, I don't really program 12 weeks because people get very bored. But as you stay with me, the programs will get longer because it is important. We started 4 weeks is like the minimum. The muscle confusion thing went out the window years ago. That used to be like some sign, like they were like, oh, you got to confuse your muscles to grow them. Completely debunked. Actually, the exact opposite. Doing the same movements over and over again, week in and week out, is what makes the best muscle change. And what I mean is like, you can't just have like leg day Monday, back and buys Tuesday, quads Wednesday. It has to be the same movements, because even if you do quads Wednesday and you change the quad movement, it's a different movement. You're going to touch on different parts. You're going to hit different hypertrophy. You're going to hit different, muscles. So like parts of the muscle. So doing the same exact lifts for, 4, which is really the minimum, we'll go 6 to 12 weeks, is how you gain the most muscle mass. And I wasn't the biggest believer in this. And then come January, like I used to follow a program that's every 4 weeks. I thought I was killing it. Progressive overload. I was pushing my weight every week. And then I go to my new coach and he's big on this. Week 6 came along and I was like, all right, when are we changing it up? He's like, no time soon. He's like, are you still going up every week? And I was like, yeah. He goes, then there's your like the fact that I was able to increase weight every week for 12 weeks, one, shows you that I did not judge my RPE well, right? So 8 years in, I was still not judging my intensity right. I thought I was lifting heavy. You should not be able to increase every single week for 12 weeks if you're starting at that 8 RP on week 1, right? That doesn't make sense. Like we're not that strong. So, one, shows you that I wasn't great at judging my intensity. Right? There's so much left in me. And then the fact that, like I was still seeing gains. I was still lifting heavy. I was still, and again, I get it can get, like people say, boring. But you know what? Again, sometimes boring, it's what you got to do. I'll relate it again. I don't get pumped to brush my teeth every morning. Guess who does it? I surely don't get pumped to pay my effing mortgage every month. Guess who does it, right? Like this isn't like a birthday party. This isn't like it's not all roses and parties and fireworks. Sometimes you just have to get the nitty-gritty and lift. And it's also so empowering. Like I had a couple check-ins this week where girls were like flexing hard in their pictures. Like, look at this, I look like the Hulk. Like, that's amazing. Like, you should be proud of yourselves for those games, but you don't want to change up that much. and I use the example, sometimes I've left this in voice notes with someone, right? Imagine you lived in the woods and you had a dirt road to your house and it snowed really bad. And you needed to get from the main road to your home. You get there one time, right? There's like a little bit of like tracks the next time you go. Do you stay in the same tracks or do you veer out a little bit? No, you're going to keep going in the same track, and the snow's going to get down and you're going to make a nice dirt path, and your car is going to get smoothly to your house. That's like how I compare like that muscle growth. Like if you're trying to create a functional and strong pathway, you're not going to go on and off the track as much as possible. That would create nothing. That would create a mess. You're going to stay on the same four, I guess, tire tracks over and over and over again. The path is going to get quicker. It's going to get more stable. And then, yes, eventually you can change it, but you don't want to change movements that much. So if you're like, randomly doing back and randomly doing legs and randomly doing this, you're not prioritizing your strength and you're actually missing out on a lot. That's probably one of the main reasons also why I didn't see the muscle gains that I wanted to for years and years that I was working out. So, the more, again, I usually start people out with 4 weeks just to see like how you move and how to evaluate. But as you go deeper into the program, the lifts are going to get longer periods of time, and dive into that, like commit to that and see how strong you can get. Cause it's pretty badass to commit to a lifting program and then one day look over and you're like out squatting half the dudes in the gym, right? Be proud of
I
that. It's
I
awesome.
also CJ, I also think it like goes back to, we had a question that was like, if people are new to strength training, like how do they get comfortable or like build confidence? And I feel like a long program allows you to do that because you're allowing yourself to be comfortable with all the weights, you're allowing yourself to get used to your program. I feel like once it's like you just get to learn it and what you're doing, and you kind of like start to remember it. And if you change right away, it's just, then you're like starting a whole new thing. So it's nice to have those weeks to get comfortable, to lift the weights, to see what you need to do. I feel like because I remember when I first started with you, I was like, we're doing the same thing again. 'Cause I'm very, like, I'm someone that used to go and just do a million different things and then I would leave, but I never saw results. And I never felt like I could lift anything heavier until I started with you and doing that. And every week we were doing like the same thing, but I felt stronger. And I was like, and then I wouldn't even ask you how much it was until after, and I was like, "Oh my god, I really just lifted that?" So I feel like then you get like, "All right, let's do it next week. I can't wait to get to that point to see what I can lift again." So you think it's going to be boring, but in the end it's actually like you want to keep doing it because you want to see what you could do.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Steph. One of my clients today was like, I got so used to my workout. Now you're going to change it. I'm like, I wish I didn't. Like the next one, I'm going to give you a longer period then, right? Like
Yeah.
you're so right. Like how to feel more confident is to just do it for a longer period of time. And also, I mean, I like to live by myself unless it's with certain people. Steph is one of those people. But like bring a buddy if you want. Like please let them let them suck off my programming. That's fine. Let them use it. I don't even care. Um because it's nice to challenge each other sometimes. You can kind of laugh a little bit, or if you're a headphone person, that's fine. But um like you want to commit to longer, you don't want to change it up, unfortunately. Like that's why again, like the Orange Theory, the F45s, the classes at the gym are great for beginners just to get them moving, but you're never ever going to see serious muscle growth and body fat loss from those if you're doing different things every single day. Like it's just not going to happen. And that's why people plateau, right? Like 2 years into Orange Theory, they're like, I haven't really changed all that much. And I'm working my tail off. That's why. Um, Again, I was an Orange Theory person. I get it. But all right. Is there any questions on that? Negative? Okay. All right. The next one was how to track meals out and booze. Oh, booze. The sad, sad day. All right. So quickly, how to track meals out. You're not gonna, right? You're gonna be off no matter what. Even if Chipotle is in my fitness pal, No Chipotle person scoops the same as the other Chipotle person scoops. So they're going to be wrong. And I'm sorry about that, but they're going to be wrong. So that's why eating out, and I'm never going to say don't eat out because I love date nights. I love meals out. I get it. It's life, but it is going to slow goals. It is not going to be accurate. And that's okay. You got to chalk it up, right? It's just not going to be the most accurate day. Um, Again, even if a meal is in my fitness pal, Taco Bell, Chipotle, all those are in there. No one makes it the same. If you go out to a family restaurant, there's two things you can do. You can try and compare your meal to a chain restaurant that's in my fitness pal. So if you go to like a Mexican place and you get enchiladas, you can try and look up enchilada, this and that, and guess. My fitness pal does have a lot of stuff, but it's the Wikipedia of food diaries, right? So anyone can input. So as much as it's great that there's a lot of stuff, a lot of the stuff is wrong. So you have to be a little bit diligent on that. Another thing you can do is stick to very segmented meals, right? So tonight at dinner, my husband got a steak with potatoes and fried onions or whatever those things are. So he can kind of eyeball that. It's very separate. Okay. A spaghetti carbonara, not very separate. I have absolutely no idea what really went into it. So you can try to compare to a chain restaurant, or you can get, very segmented meal that you try and, look up in my fitness pal and do yourself. No matter what, you're probably gonna underestimate because the sodium, the butter, it's just not something that we're used to. Anne went out last night. She was all nervous and she texted me and she was like, oh no, like the meal is so healthy. It's this and this and this. She woke up like 3 pounds heavier because even if a grilled chicken with vegetables, the butter and sodium that's in it, it's not something that we would ever cook with at home. So it's just different. So again, do not skip date night. Do not be paranoid to go out. It is not body fat. No one is eating out. Like tonight, I went out. I had coconut shrimp. I had a grilled chicken avocado BLT. Had some of my kids' fries. I didn't gain body fat tomorrow morning when I'm like 3 pounds up. It's sodium, it's water, it's food in my belly. There's no chance it's body fat. So if you keep that in mind, you don't want to freak out, but you do want to limit meals out, right? If this is your priority, the goal is always like 3 or less. 3 meals out or less, and those 3 meals also shouldn't be like, bangers. They have to somehow be a little bit more mindful, but no matter how healthy you think you are eating out, you're not, which is, a downer, but it's just a reality.
Well, I feel like think about every time if you go out to a certain place and you don't feel good after, it's probably they're using something that doesn't agree with you. Maybe you don't cook with it. Maybe it's like a certain oil that doesn't sit well with you. Maybe it's certain like they load it up with butter and things that you don't realize. I mean, you can. I feel like I've there's been times like where I've gone out and asked like, can you just use spray instead of oil, or can you just use just when I was like even for when I was like going my gut healing journey. That was like the biggest thing. I did barely ate out because if I did, I didn't know what it was, if it upset my stomach. But I would ask, like, can you not use any butter? Can I just have it on the sauce on the side? Can I just have, I was kind of like a little, it's probably a pain in the ass, but I
Probably.
wa- I wanted to make sure that I wasn't my stomach was not going to be affected by anything, and I was trying to do the best I could with that. So you could always ask for like, those things on the side and opt for a plate of like fruits and vegetables on the side or something. You don't, obviously if you're going out and you're getting like a nice meal for your birthday or something, but if it's like 3 or 4 times a week, that's what you want to try to do. Healthier options.
And then booze. So the sad part is I don't think there's any newbies on here. So I'll have to ruin their lives separately. Um it was so cute. I got a check-in last week that was like, I picked better alcohol. It was low carb. And I was like, oh, poor honey. Like, I'm proud of you for trying that, but it's a lie. Like the Mick Ultras that are like no carb, or the high noons that are like no carb, no sugar. Like It's bullshit. Yes, okay, like maybe like really weedy beers are a little bit different, but they can say that because they're not technically carbs and they're not technically fats and they're not technically protein. So actually all booze can claim they have zero carbs. Um, and it's true. They don't have carbs in it. All booze can claim they're fat free. It's true. They are fat free. It's like a fourth macronutrient. The body breaks it down 1000% differently than any other thing. But how we have to allocate for those calories, we have to give them something, right? We can't just count them and let our carbs and fats be normal because then we'll overeat. So how you count booze with macros is you have to give them a carb count or a fat count. You cannot count them towards protein because that's, the one thing they're definitely not broken down into. We have it saved on the group chat. I can send it to anyone, but you have to enter booze as a quick add on MyFitnessPal. You can't look it up because I'm pretty sure if you look up high noons, they're 100 calories, but they're like 2 grams carb, 4 grams fat, which I know all you guys know. Carbs are 4 calories each gram and fats are 9. That math, not sure what it is. It's not 100, right? So always double check your entries on MyFitnessPal. You look up, 2 ounces of tequila and it says 70 calories, 0 carbs, 0 fat, 0 protein. Well, if it's 0 carbs, 0 fat, and 0 protein, that shit 0 calories, right? Not true. So we have to quick add booze. And I'm gonna call myself out, right? Like I don't weigh my alcohol. I don't. High noons are easy, things in a can are easy because they're measurable. If I have wine or if I have liquor, at this point in my journey, I don't weigh it. I eyeball it. Starting April 17th, when I cut, one, I won't be drinking booze at all. If there is
So
a random night that I do, you have to weigh it. Put it on a scale, pour it,
I have a pitch
look at the
timer.
grams, then you have to quick add it. You have to divide it. I will send that math in the group chat because it's if I
Like,
said it now, it would just be confusing.
Maybe-
But it's important. It adds up freaking quick, takes a lot of carbs and fat. And
Yeah.
even if it fits in your macros, right? Even if it fits in your macros, it slows down the process of breaking down fat.
Yeah.
Slows it down no matter what. And again, I'm not going to preach
So if we're
no drinks. I had
January,
3 tonight.
Seriously?
I'm going to have
Pennsylvania,
more on Saturday, but if you are at a point where you're really trying to cut fat or really trying to diet, it definitely inhibits you. But the big thing also, right, is that you don't want to one of the worst thing about drinking is what we eat after we drink.
yeah,
Booze is
Yeah.
not great, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, Mom, yeah.
the
I was
Taco
doing-
Bell that I'm gonna house on Saturday, it's gonna be the worst thing, and I'm gonna do it. Happens every year. Once a year, I do it. That's the bad decision, right? So, but we do have to track it, and I know when you guys don't because I'll see like 7 drinks this week, and then I'm like looking at your carbs and your fat, and they're all pretty in line, and I'm like, they didn't log it right. Like if you have 7 drinks, again, maybe you had one day, maybe you had 7 in one day. I should be able to see it. So, I will
So,
send that screenshot or my Instagram post to the group, but logging booze has to be a quick ad because
That's good.
it's not measurable.
Okay,
Text Vivi.
what do you want to say?
Are you getting right?
I'm gonna text you. Anything? All right. What's the next question, Steph?
I think somebody posted how to find flavor in foods
Oh
without
yeah, go
fat.
ahead.
Yeah.
I won't answer this one.
Well, do you want to talk about your hockey puck for breakfast or no?
I'm a garbage can. I don't need any kind of flavor. I'll eat it. So Steph's got this one.
I need a lot of flavor in my food or else
I need
I
nothing.
I need some flavor. So, but I found like really good I don't know if anybody shops at Trader Joe's, but there's one of my favorites, like a sweet chili sauce. It's low in sugar. It's 0 grams of fat. I could send everything in the group chat too, but it's like one of my favorite things. If you like are having like literally you could put on anything. Like you could make a stir fry with it. You could put it on your rice. You could put it on your chicken. It's delicious. And it's like, I think it's like 5 grams of sugar. But if you're eating healthy and you're eating clean and, that's something then I feel like if you add a little bit of that, it's not going to hurt. It gives it a little flavor. Also, like, I always use my staples when I cook, like garlic, onions, spices, like fresh herbs. Um, Again, Trader Joe's always has so many different, like if you look in their spice section, there's so many different herbs. There's always different spices that they're coming out with. I always use that on all of my chicken, all of my cooking. I need a lot of flavor sometimes, or else, I love balsamic vinegar. I add that to everything. Um, the skinny girl dressing, CJ, that you introduced me to,
So good.
it's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's flavorful. So it really all depends. Like even it really depends like what you're making, what you're cooking, like is it or what you're adding to like even like coffee or something, or even oatmeal. Like when you make oatmeal, it could be a little bit plain, but if you add like some cinnamon makes a huge difference. I feel like it tastes a lot better. You can have some there's some sweeteners that are a lot healthier because they're not any like additives or fake sugar or things, because honestly, like with the whole sugar, like in the glycemic index and raising your blood sugar, the worst thing is to have like fake sugar. Oh, I just saw what Mindy, what you just said too. The
Yes.
barbecue is really good too. Um, but like the sweeteners, like if you're going to use a sweetener, it's better to use something like 100% maple syrup, or like raw local honey, um, things along those lines, because they're better for your body and your glycemic index. If you're having something that's like fake with a bunch of additives and different stuff, it actually affects your body differently, and your body thinks it's getting sugar and it doesn't, and it's actually worse. Um, so I feel like using, things that are natural, if you're having like your protein pancakes or your protein waffles and you wanted to put some syrup on there, instead of using like Aunt Jemima that probably has like 87 grams of sugar in it, 100% maple syrup is better, a little bit of honey or a little bit of monk fruit sweetener, like, things like that are I think so much better for your body in general. And then I love the skinny taste recipes. um if you They're so simple, but she has so many like spices and herbs that she uses. Her daughter actually goes to my school that I teach at, and her mom is the woman who is skinny taste is like the nicest woman ever. Her daughter gave me and my husband a cookbook, and she signed it, and it was so nice, and ever since then we've been like literally using all of her recipes, but they're so simple, they're
You said,
so
dear Steph, lose some weight. Here's a cookbook. Just kidding.
yeah, right. Well, I was like, I got an air fryer. I'm so excited. So she sent her daughter in with like her air fryer cookbook recipes, and
Aw.
it was amazing. But she always uses like it's like simple but spices, and they're healthy, and they're not extra calories, and
Yeah.
there's zero fat, and garlic and onions. I mean, I know I'm Italian, but garlic and onions to start everything is the best.
And again, like, not to be the bearer of bad news and the bitch in the group, um, but like, if you're trying to lose 100 pounds, get over it. Like, things might not taste unbelievable. Like, and I'm sorry, that sounds like a little bit heartless, but if your goal is to like literally get out of the obesity range and be able to like lose a lot of weight and get fit, you might have to sacrifice some unbelievable tastes.
But you
And
also get used to it, like
yeah,
you get used to eating, and it doesn't taste bad. It's just like you have to stop eating that sugary fat shit for at least 4 weeks, and it's hard,
30
but
days
you
takes
have
off.
to. Yeah, you have to do it. And then once you stop doing it and you start eating, like adding like I said, like a little bit of cinnamon to your oatmeal or something, then you start to appreciate that taste. And then when you go back to the really sugary, fatty crap, you're like, I can't even eat this.
No, and like also the excuse of like I'm addicted to sugar, you're not. Sugar is not addicted. It's the dopamine and the like the rush you get from it. So I have to break this bubble to some people too, right? Like you actually are not addicted to sugar. You're okay. You will not go into like sugar withdrawals and die. Your brain just likes it and it releases dopamine. So you just have to break it. And guys, there's so many hacks now. Like we are so lucky to live in the time that we do. Like the dessert bowl I eat every night is a like pound of yumminess, right? Like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, chocolate chips, granola, raspberries, jello. Like there is plenty of sweets and it's a healthy bowl. So there are ways around all this. You just have to try them. You have to stop like setting this mindset of like, this is going to suck. Oh, I mean, you mean I have to have sugar-free jello instead of chocolate cake? This is gonna suck. Like you walk in with that mentality already, right? Like and I relate to people at the gym, like I hate working out. Well, you're telling yourself from the second you get into your car to the second you're there that you hate working out,
Yeah.
right? Change that. Change that voice. Like, yeah, I would probably hate it too if like I told myself 6,000 times on the drive to the gym that I hated it. Um,
But this is like the conversation I have with my dad every single night because he has like 47 ice pops. Then he has like ding dongs or whatever they are. I'm like, Dad, who even buys those anymore? Like and then he's like, I can't lose my belly. I'm like, yeah, well, because what are those called? Again? Like, I don't even remember. Not ding dongs. It's something he puts them in the
ring
freezer.
dings
Yes,
for yodels.
yeah, like so I'm like, this is why you can't lose your belly because you're eating 27 of these and 12 ice pops. I'm like, you might as well just go eat the sugar out of the container and then I bought him like actual like what you're saying, like substitute things, and he's like, oh, this isn't that bad. I'm like, yeah, well, you have to give it a try.
Right. So there's going to be some sacrifice, but there has to be, right? Like if you could eat toast with butter and jelly every morning and look, I mean, you can, I guess you couldn't do that and not eat the rest of the day, but there has to be sacrifice. Um, it's not easy or else everyone would do it. And our obesity range wouldn't be 40% of our damn country, right? Like you have to give something up. You have to embrace that it's going to be hard and you have to stick to it. But that's
Seven
all about
percent
going back to the first question of, are you
Yeah,
going to?
7% of our country is metabolically healthy, which means good blood pressure, like
That's
good
crazy.
be it's only 7% of like our country, which is insane. Like
A
high blood
lot.
pressure. Like I know I can't even believe it. Like your just your overall health, like your gut health, your blood pressure, your everything. Like there's only 7% of people that fit in the like metabolically healthy category.
And unfortunately, like our, the food that is around in our country does not help us. But at the end of the day, the only person that there's ways around it, right? So if 7% can be it, you can be it. No one here is so distraught or, burdened or anything that you can't be in that 7%. And it may take people 3 months, it may take people 3 years. But if you keep committing to it and showing up, it will be you. And it's not, I know and I don't mean to dumb it down, but it really isn't that hard. People want to make it into this crazy science and like, well, do I eat protein now or do I eat it later? What kind of supplements should I have? If you eat protein, you move and you drink water, you're already going to be in that top 10%.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's really not that difficult. Like, of course, if you want to be in that top 1%, there's a whole lot of science we can get into. But if you want to be in that top 7%, there's really not a lot of things you have to do. You have to eat a lot of protein, you have to move a lot during the day, and you have to drink a lot of water. And you will be literally in that top 10% of health. Right? So stop getting don't rack your brain over these things. Don't be like, well, when should I eat my protein? Or when should I work out? Should I eat before I work out? Should I not eat before I work out? Should I do cardio before weights? Should I do cardio after weights? Just do something and you're going to do more than most. Right? And of course, again, if you have those questions, ask us because I will gladly tell you. but you're probably already doing more than like you're doing just enough. You just have to stick to it. That's the part that gets in everyone's way, the consistency, right? Like you're all doing, every single one of you are doing enough right now. You just have to keep doing it.
Like think about where you'll be like 8 weeks from now. I feel like it's like a random number, but like think about where you'll be 5 days from now, like 6 days from now, and like if you just keep going, like where you're gonna end up, and then think about like if you just stop or you give up, or if you don't continue with what you're doing, then where you're gonna end up. You're gonna be back to where you miserably were in the beginning and wanting to change again.
Like I know like a year sounds crazy. Like you guys want to lose weight in 3 months, but unfortunately, think about how quick a year goes. Right? It actually goes fast when you look back on it. So just keep showing up. That is literally 99% of the battle. That's why people don't achieve what they want. Not because it doesn't work for them, not because there's something wrong, not like literally it's because they just quit too early. Things were going good. They were making steps. Even if you were literally just increasing your water in the first month, you're making the right steps. You just have to keep showing up. That's it.
Yep.
Does anyone have any like other questions that you thought of? Next week when me and Coach Steph are gonna do the Zoom on the cut, because a couple of you are starting on April 10th, a couple of you are starting on April 17th. A couple of you are not starting, don't ask. But next week I'll do more. Brooke. Next I'll do more. Well, Brooke had a month-long St. Patrick's Day extravaganza, so
Brooke, your bacon is so nice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm
Brooke
embarrassed.
went,
On.
Brooke went to 64 St. Patrick's Day parades. But
I
for
have a
next-
question.
yeah, yes. Hi, Sam.
Hi. So you said for like weekends out, like if we're going out for dinner or whatever, like next week, for instance, I have a birthday party on Saturday.
Okay.
Big family in Queens, right? Everyone's going. Super excited. All the babies are going. And then
Aw.
Sunday's Easter.
Hmm.
So
You got
like
that whammy.
are we just not for me personally, I'm like not tracking.
Okay, so
I know like breakfast and like a mid-morning snack, like I can track. Like that's like easy because
right.
that's the same every day.
So there's like a couple of ways you can do this. So I know for me, right, I'm only gonna, let's say the party's at 2 or 3. 1, I might not eat until that party. So that's up to you. That's not the best coaching advice probably, but if there's gonna be food and there's gonna be alcohol, I'm gonna save every calorie I have for that party. Or I might just have like a super big egg white plate, right? And lasagna.
Hey, stop lying. You're having your egg white plate.
My egg white plate. Okay, fine. I'll have my egg white plate. And my coffee. But you don't have to track, because at the end of the day, right? You don't. I like to only because it gives me some kind of data. I just like guessing, and it could be completely wrong. But I like putting in something into my Fitness Pal so I can even just see where I'm at, what numbers I'm possibly at, even if it's 5,000 calories. Like I'll never forget, I went to a strip steak dinner once and I was like 6,000 calories over. But you know what? It gave me numbers. I saw it. I was able to own it. I couldn't deny it. And that was it. So it's up to you, right? Like an Easter I probably won't track. But there's 2 methods there, right? Like put numbers in just to like see and obviously let me know. Be like, I tracked, but it was completely off. Or don't and just move on from it. But I would suggest to save as many calories as you can. And I know that's not necessarily the best advice. People are gonna be like, keep eating, do the best thing. But I don't know. If I know I'm gonna have a party, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna save my 2,000 calories for that party.
Yeah, like
I don't
if
mind
I'm
not.
gonna overeat, where
What?
should I should I overeat overall? Just like what you're saying, like just overeat at that one party.
Yeah, just go for the part. Like I would honestly save as many as you can. Like if you can make it until noon, not eating, like if you can fast that morning, have some coffee, fast, and then go for it. Because as much as you think you might have 3,000 calories, your body's probably going to tap out before that.
But also, don't worry. Like it takes 3,500 calories to gain a pound,
Right.
right? You would have to consume 3,500 calories on top of
More
your
than you,
calories.
right, more than you burned. So that's
Yeah.
like 6,000 calories a day.
So you can't, yeah. So like on a holiday, you literally would have to do that on top. That would be like 6,000 because in order to gain 1 pound, you'd have to eat 3,500 calories, which is on top of your maintenance. So you can't even, like, you're not going to do that. So you don't have to worry about that, like gaining, like, oh my God, am I going to gain weight? Am I going to do this? You know?
Right. Like, and the scale is going to go up. No doubt about it. On Monday, probably for all of us,
Right.
it's going to go up, but it's not fat. It's not, but the biggest thing, right? And we say this stupid analogy all the time is you slashed your tire, don't slash all three. Just get back on Monday and plan again. And that weight will, like, the scale will even out then on Wednesday. But I would suggest if you know you're going to be out, save it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's
good
fine.
to me. I did want to share one thing that because you guys were talking about in the very beginning, like those quotes and everything, and I love that. And I took an Orange Theory class yesterday, and the coach said, your goals don't happen by coincidence. They happen with hard work.
Love
And
it.
Spot on.
yes, like yeah.
Talk to me. Yes, it resonates.
Like I was like, yeah, like it's exactly what you guys are talking about. Like it just doesn't happen. Like your macros don't just like compute by themselves. You have
No.
to put in the work.
That would be
Right,
nice.
I wish. I know. I always say, like, what was the one thing I said? It was like, goals are just dreams if you don't have a plan or something like that, right? Like, unfortunately, no one hits their goals by just like creating one. You have to create the pathway there.
Mm-hmm.
Little stinker. So.
Yeah, it's dreams without goals are just dreams. That's what it is. Dream, right? Dreams without goals are just dreams. Yeah, because how are you going to achieve your
A goal without a plan is just a dream.
Okay.
Tom's on the stairs. Say hi.
Aw. My baby's been sleeping for 2.5 hours.
No, not mine.
Mine's sleeping for an hour.
Oh, you jerks.
I know. I need an early bedtime to function. I need to like have time to decompress at night.
Rory can't go to bed without me, so that's a big fail.
Aw.
I know.
It's okay. Take advantage of it.
I know. She's the best.
I was just like, I always put Theo down awake, but I don't know, something in me, like the last 2 weeks, I just hold.
Oh,
Aw.
I know.
Hi.
Give them chapstick.
So
Anyone
cute.
else? Any other questions that like came up last minute? You didn't put in the form you got from this? Anything else? Nope. Any questions, Roy? No? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we are obviously here. If you have any questions randomly ever, right? Ask the group, ask us, use us, please. Like, and I'm not going to pretend I have all the information, but I surely will look it up and tell you. So educate yourself, empower yourself. Everyone's doing amazing. This group is badass.
Yeah.
Right? Say badass.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you talk about the classes and as you know, I do CrossFit.
Right.
Is that holding me back?
So yeah, I think so. And that's probably part of the reason why I stopped. I don't think it's probably holding you back in muscle growth. Because you're not doing the same stuff over again. And CrossFit was designed as an accessory program, right? Like Glassman said from the day one, CrossFit was an accessory. You had to be doing something else. It was for like pro athletes or people training in the gym. It was supposed to be something they did 2 or 3 times a week to help their like cardio health. It is not supposed to be something that they do solely, because like some days you literally may just do a 12-minute workout. So, and I love it, right? And I think you love it and it gets you to the gym. So I think it is absolutely brilliant to do if that's what's going to get you to work out. I think it's better than an Orange Theory class. I think it's better than F45, but I do think that the muscle growth that you're looking for, because you're strong and like you don't have a ton of weight to lose or a ton of body fat to lose, right? You're looking to like gain some muscle. I do think the fact that you're not doing consistent strength workouts is holding you back a little bit. But if not doing CrossFit is going to stop you from going to the gym, like maybe you only go 3 times a week, then I think that's the worst call, right? So you have to you have to decide if CrossFit is what you love and you're going to go to the gym 5 times a week for that, then stick with it. If you can somehow balance maybe 3 CrossFit workouts and 2 strengths or 2 CrossFit workouts and whatnot, do that. But the fact that CrossFit doesn't offer the same lifts over and over again, and that it's pretty high stress, especially, the older you get, the more sensitive you are to cortisol and the high intensity. It could be doing a little bit of damage to your metabolic health. Again, not the end of the world. You're doing way more than most, but I would love to see if you could do a little bit more strength.
Yeah, and I actually love strength training. Also, with that being said, how your coach kind of has you like increasing weights and stuff. At my gym, when we do like front squats or back squats, we're always adding gym weights on.
Good.
And Christian tends to keep that program going for like 6 weeks.
Yes, so I do know that they do have good programming. Like you guys do that strength component before your Metcons that are in like a 6 to 8 week block, which is great. The only bad thing is, right, it's usually like one lift, right? It's like,
Well, throughout the week we do like front squats, we do back squats, we do deadlifts, we do power cleans. I definitely am stronger
oh, I mean, yeah, I can see it and see, yeah.
than what I was.
No, I don't think it's holding you back in the sense of like you're gonna have like if you were to stop in like a month, you'd be like this, like you would change. I think the fact that you love it, you go, that's the most important thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Okay.
change. And again, as long as you're and I know you are, the fact that you're pushing yourself on that strength component.
Mhm. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
Anyone else?